Now, Labour and Employment Minister Thulas Nxesi has gazetted a rise in the minimum wage in South Africa. Starting on the 1st of March, the minimum wage, which includes wages for domestic and agricultural labour, will increase by 8.5% to 27 rands and 58 cents per hour. This implies that the lowest paid workers' monthly earnings would effectively drop to about 4,412 rands and 80 cents if they worked 8 hours a day, 20 days a week. Joining us now to discuss this is Onyi Nwaneri from the Africa Tikkun. Onyi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, with the recent minimum wage hike in South Africa, what impacts do you anticipate on the country's economy, particularly considering its current financial challenges?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'd like to say that as Africa Tikkun, an organization that focuses on developing young people and helping them to access the economy. So it's great for the people of South Africa, but for how many people in South Africa? And I think that's the big question. The minimum wage will enable some people live better, but most people not have access. The unintended consequences that there will be less job creation, especially amongst those who are meant to create those jobs, especially within the SMME sector. So we're worried for SMME sector in particular and businesses who are struggling from a growth perspective or even a survival perspective.
Most certainly. I mean, that was certainly my next question to you, in the sense that an increase in that minimum wage could potentially benefit low-income workers in the country. But on the other hand, potential negative consequences could arise from the minimum wage hike in an already cash-strapped economy.
Absolutely. What we do as Africa Tikkun is that we recruit, we train, and we place young people into economic opportunities. Majority of that economic opportunities that we put them in is small, medium enterprises. Already last year, after the increase of the minimum wage last year to 4,400, we saw SMMEs struggle. We had to find incentives to try and incentivize them to create those jobs. SMEs are struggling over a lot of issues. They are barely surviving. And to try and increase minimum wage without any recognition of that it can be a one-size-fits-all is a challenging one. The second area that you need to look at in terms of South Africa as a whole is that majority of South Africans have nothing. The South Africa is currently a welfare, progressing towards a welfare state where, a large majority of its population is dependent on grants, especially if you look at the 350 minimum grants. People have nothing. There is an intention. In fact, they would love to have access.